We begin with a song celebrating light, page 640. La Yehudim Haita'ora. We should have light and joy and gladness. La Yehudim Haita'ora.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, you can do better than that. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
That was better. I'm going to invite everyone to take a deep breath in. Let it out. Often we hold on to our weeks, and when Shabbat comes, it's time to let it go and move into our new week. So on our next breath in, I invite us to take in the beauty of the Shabbat and let out anything you're holding on to from the past week. The beauty of Shabbat, or one of the beauties of Shabbat, is light. And what we just sang about, the Jews had light, joy, gladness, and honor. And in a moment, Madison, you're going to kick off our Shabbat by lighting our candles. But before we do that, I want to introduce us, just so everyone knows who we are. We are Rabbi Michael Friedman, Rabbi Zach Pleasant. I'm Rabbi Ilana Nematop Bressler, and this is Cantor Julia Kadrain. We have Yusuf and Kobe, and Mike, and we have Sean and Eric back there. We have Brian and Molly. We have so many people with us. We are so glad they are here to help make this experience, and we are so glad you are here to celebrate Shabbat with us. So Madison, will you come help us light our Shabbat candles? And help us bring in the light of Shabbat and the joy of Shabbat.
Labriut.
Thank you, Madison.
As Bruce and Amy Schneider came in, Bruce said to me, "This is so nice. It feels normal." What's so interesting is that word, and first of all, I agree. Welcome back, those of you who have not been back to our sanctuary in a long time, or welcome if you haven't been here before at all. We're so glad you're here. One of the most interesting things is that this is exactly how we, the Jewish people, are supposed to think about time, about our days. 6 days are what we call normal, in Hebrew chol, every day, the week. And then we're supposed to make this transition from the normalness into something special. Well, when you haven't been back to your sanctuary, your Jewish home in a couple of years, it's pretty easy to feel special. So welcome back. On the other hand, we're supposed to, as Rabbi said, make a transition at this point in the week and put aside those to-do lists, all of the logistics of a bat mitzvah weekend, or whatever else that we need to get rid of to make space to welcome Shabbat and to welcome the Shabbat bride. One of the ways we do that is by singing. So we will sing some of the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat, Lechu Neranana, page 130, and then Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, page 131.
Let us sing unto God, sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God, sing unto God a new song. La 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 la, la 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 la
Zapru Bako
You turn to pages 138 and 139 for the verses of Lecha Dodi. We'll sing verses 1, 2, and 5. And then for the 9th verse, we will invite everyone to rise at that time and face the entrance of our sanctuary so that we may welcome in the metaphorical Shabbat bride.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'lecha, ki him lecha ha'bracha. Merosh mikadem nesucha, tzaf ma'aseh, b'machshavat tehila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'divurecha, yishmiharu el hamichad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'ritila. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitorari, hitorari, ki ba'arech u'mi'ori. Uri, shidaveri, kavod Adonai, alayich nigdal. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Please rise.
Roi v'shalom, ateret kala, gam besimcha uv'tzola. Toch emunei am segula, bo'i chala, bo'i chala. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela.
One of our minister colleagues here in town used to drive around with a bumper sticker that was simply a comma. So I asked her about it. She said, well, we don't believe that God ever stopped speaking. I said, I like that. So we are here because our conversations with God never end with a period. There's always a comma. There's always room for more. Let us re-enter into whatever conversation we were last having with God as we are here in this space this evening. Page 146.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Yalalai la'ilai 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 yalalai la'ilai
Please be seated. And I invite you to join with me on page 149, giving gratitude to God for the times and the seasons and all the cycles of nature of which we are a part. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim.
Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam ba'am v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha b'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ug'shartam lehot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim lo lechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. On page 152 are the words to Mi Chamocha, our song of redemption
Page
and freedom.
158.
158.
158.
Thank you for keeping me honest. 158. This prayer is like the chameleon of prayers because the melody changes depending on the season. So we have a special high holiday mi Chamocha. And so too, we have a special one for the season of Hanukkah, which we're about to enter. So we sing this prayer of freedom in honor of that tradition with a melody for this moment. Mi Chamocha v'elim Adonai, mi Chamocha nedar b'chodesh, nor tehilot ha'asef eleh, nor tehilot ha'asef eleh, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
This world that we live in sometimes feels so broken and so full of pain. And so, as we are gathered under one roof here in our communal home, we ask for God's healing, God's protection. We ask for comfort and a little bit of strength to fix all of the brokenness that we see around us. We say, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Grant, O God, that you may give us peace and help us stand up in life. Page 160.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu le'shalom,
V'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha.
Hashkivenu
Hashkivenu
Adonai
Eloheinu
Hashkivenu
l'shalom.
Hashkivenu
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Let there be love and understanding among us.
Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
With peace and friendship in our hearts and prayers for healing on our lips, we rise for the blessings of the Amidah. Page 164.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל, אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחכה חיים בחסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורפא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, משני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We're going to give you a little gift, some quiet, some silence. In a very busy world, this is truly a gift to treasure. And you can use it however you like. There are so many different ways to pray. Some of us might do as I'm going to do and use the words of the Siddur from page 172 through page 181, or any combination or any selection in that range. But you don't have to do that. You could close the book and put it aside and use the words, the feelings, the emotions that come to mind. The view of our trees newly lit, thanks to our congregant Vivian Myers, outside of our windows. And Ed Diamond. Where's Ed? Thanks, Ed. And Brian. So there's lots of different inspiration, the words of this book, the view outside of our windows, the feelings that are in our hearts that you can use during this moment of silent meditation and prayer.
These are words from this week's Torah portion, Vaishlach, telling the story of two long estranged brothers, Jacob and Esau, finally reuniting. This is what Jacob says to Esau. And this is set to music by the Israeli composer Yonatan Razel. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. I am humbled by your grace and the truth you have given me. I am humbled by your grace and the truth you have given me. כי במגלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי לי שני מחנות, הצירני נא, הצירני נא, הצירני נא. And in my heart a battle waged, I am divided into two camps. Deliver me, I pray, deliver me. כי חסדך גדול עליי, כי חסדך גדול עליי, and your mercy is great. You've delivered my soul from the depths of the dark. I am humbled by your grace and truth.
Just before Jacob says those beautiful words to his brother, Jacob has an encounter in the middle of the night with a messenger, an angel, maybe himself. What do you think, Madison? Maybe it was God. And Jacob walks away from that encounter changed, given a new name, Yisrael, Israel, and he is physically harmed. He walks with a limp for the rest of his life. And as our teacher, Debbie Friedman, once said about this Torah portion, about this encounter, Jacob walked away both limping and healed. Profound words that I think of every time we come back to Vayishlach in our Torah reading cycle. Jacob walked away both limping and healed. When we are in need of healing, when those we love are in need of healing, when those in our community are in need of healing, 100% physical healing sometimes is not always possible. Sometimes it doesn't always happen. But that healing is not limited to that refuah shlema, that complete healing, but healing can be more than just that. We can heal with the strength we send each other, with the support we give to one another in this community. And so as we move now to our moment of Mishaberach, our moment of healing, I want to lift up that support, the support that we can offer one another, that we can receive, be open to receiving, and that too is a form of healing. In our community this evening, we're thinking of and sending support for healing to Yisrael Avraham Ben Chaya Rachel, Marlene Blumenthal, Dorothy Balatin, Rod Brayman, John Callaghy, Amy Sladitsky, Frida Easton, Steve Elliott, Roy Fuchs, Lanny Gans, Brad Hammer, Ruth Harris, Gloria Hausman, Jeff Helfand, Dan Canner, Richard Kastenholtz, Natalie Kellner, Phyllis Kamansky, Mark Krigsman, Carol Kurzman, Ira Levy, Terry Langer, Linda Mandel, Don Matthews, Maggie Mulcahy, Liam Richards, Robbie Regano, Steve Seaman, Nancy Selikoff, Kathy Soroka, Jackie Spitzer, Felicia Stevens, Esther Stone, Sandy Troy, John Weiss, Joan Wetzler, and Joan Winokur. If there are other names that you'd like to bring into this space for healing at this time, please do so. For all those names we've said out loud.
Rabbi, a couple of names I want to call out from the live stream. And if you're watching on YouTube, I know you can't make comments, but we want to invite you to simply say the name aloud and bring it into the space wherever you are. A couple names to add: Linda Cristiano, Yahala Hasina Batsara.
For those names that have been typed into our chat, said out loud, and held in their hearts, this prayer is for them all.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shevera imoteinu mekor habracha lavoteinu, bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
You've heard a little bit of this story throughout this service, but I want to fill in some of the details. Jacob and Esau were twins. They fought in the womb, and their differences continued into life. Esau instigated much trouble, and Jacob probably didn't help the matter. As adults, Esau, who was the firstborn, sold his birthright to Jacob when he was desperate for soup one day. Many years later, when their father Isaac was dying, Jacob, with the help of his mother, tricked Isaac, his father, into giving him the birthright, the blessing. Esau, although he had sold his right to the blessing, was furious. Jacob fled for his life. 20 years later, as Rabbi Pleasant talked about, Jacob and Esau are on their way to meet. Jacob has a dream, an encounter. Jacob, though, is completely unsure of what to do, and he fears for the lives of his family and his flock as well as his own. In order to protect them, he separates himself from everyone, thinking that Esau will only kill him and not the entire family. Fortunately, when the brothers meet, as Cantor Gadrain sang, the experience is one of connection and even healing, not of suffering. Jacob is able to heal the long-held wound of imagining his brother's hatred towards him. There's another story that we read this week. Our same Jacob had 12 sons, which many of you know, but he also had one daughter named Dinah. This week we read of the abuse that Dinah suffered when a man decides that he loves her and forces himself on her. And then, because that was how society worked at the time, the abuser wanted to marry Dinah. From a single incident of pain, Dinah would have been forced to live with her suffering and the perpetrator of her pain endlessly. The story ends with many more complications than the one of Jacob and Esau. Dinah's brothers take it upon themselves to avenge the abuse she suffers, eventually killing all the men of the town. Our young folks in here don't learn from that lesson. Dinah's immediate threat of suffering ends, but now she has to deal with not only her own anger, fear, and pain, but that of her brothers as well. Pain in this parsha isn't resolved. For every wound healed, there's a wound that remains open and festers. Both of these stories, which are about how we work through our pain and heal from it, struck a chord this week as HUCJIR, the institution where all four of us clergy received their ordination smichot, released a report on investigations of allegations of misconduct. It sadly shares horrible stories of incidents of abuses of power, gatekeeping, favoritism towards men, and many more, and allegations of harassment and bullying, LGBTQ+, racial and gender discrimination, and more. I know that behavior like this has occurred for so many years across college campuses, businesses, etc. And sadly, we've seen it before. But this one in particular hits close to home because I saw it happen. An institution that trains Jewish professionals must hold itself to a higher standard and not only hold people accountable, but provide a framework within which those who have suffered at the hands of their institutions can find healing. For many of my colleagues, the story of the abuse of Dinah hits more close to home. Not necessarily this week, but again this week, after carrying it with them for the last 40 plus years. As Rabbi Rachel Bierman teaches, the story of Dinah uses Dinah as a plot point, not a central character in her own story. And sadly, she isn't alone. Dinah, together with Bilhah, Zilpah, Tamar, and so many more, are merely mechanisms for moving forward Jacob's own story. Their personal stories are not shared. And what of the countless individuals, those of color, those who aren't cisgender, those who don't easily fall into this category or the other, who are left out of the story altogether? By making it public, by helping us bear witness, it allows the collective community to acknowledge what occurred and help others feel seen and heard. The HUC investigation did give many the opportunities to share their stories. But how often do we wait far too long after an incident occurs to share the truth and to give the victims the opportunity for justice and healing? As a student, I sadly witnessed moments of inappropriate behavior between faculty and students. When those events were brought before the leadership, it took many of our voices before we were heard. And what of the agonizing months and years when my classmates and friends had to watch their perpetrators walk into the building free to continue causing suffering? The pain is incalculable. HUC has begun the process of bringing to light these horrible events, and now teshuvah, repentance, and hopefully healing can come. Jacob and Esau do have their moment for healing, for teshuvah, but it comes 20 years after they first parted. Jacob had to first atone for taking the birthright from his brother and carry his pain at having his life threatened. Esau, too, had to work through threatening his brother and his pain at being betrayed. How much pain were each of them holding for the past 20 years that they either repressed or that kept them from filling their potential as human beings? Their story is not the same as Dinah's, and I don't mean to equate them. However, both narratives necessitate healing, The brothers were able to come together and meet again in order to heal and look to a healthier and safer future. Dina isn't given any sort of explicit opportunities for healing, because we cannot heal by destroying other people or bringing more hate into the world. We heal by working through our pain so that we can transform ourselves. As one of our colleagues writes, so it is with HUC. It will need to atone. It will need to do what it can, as Jacob did with Esau, to address the grievances of the many who suffered discrimination and abuse. It will be a hard road ahead. The following poem is one way we can think about traversing that road. I stand with my sisters. I look to my left and I see Dina, who has a knowing look in her eyes. She understands better than anyone what happens when your trauma is transformed into the story of another man. I look to my right and I see Bilcha and Zilpa holding on to one another. They know what it means for your body to be used as a paving stone in someone else's journey. Behind me stand my brothers. I catch sight of Isaac the silent. He carries with him the grief of having been betrayed by the ones who are supposed to protect you. Next to him is Joseph, who still weeps whenever he sees colorful cloth because it reminds him of the moment when his youth and innocence were stolen from him. Beyond our little group are the damp eyes and broken hearts of thousands, millions, more. Today and every day, I stand with my sisters, my brothers, my siblings of all genders. Some of us know the pain of being hurt in the most intimate ways. All of us love people who know that kind of pain. None of us wants anyone else to have to experience it. Today and every day we stand together, clutching the broken pieces of our hearts and trying to move our massive group just a little bit closer toward that goal. We're so hungry for progress that every step forward feels like a celebration. Every slip backward brings feelings of devastation. We hold on to this pain, that of others and our own. The lesson from the report and from our ancestors is one that speaks to all of our lives today. Many of us can relate to being silenced or to learning the story of someone else's pain. Many of us sadly experienced it ourselves. All of us have experiences in our past that we wish away, some more painful than others. No one should live their life feeling as though they have not been heard, that they are stifled and have to hide some of their identity, or that because of their identity, a part they cannot change, they were persecuted. Sadly, we as Jews know way too much about suffering to allow for others to suffer at our hands, and to allow their report to come out and not actively make changes. That would be a problem. Tonight, that is our lesson, our own healing, our own opportunity to move together towards a better future. We learn from our Torah stories, from this HUC report, from our own lives, that we cannot ask people to hold on to pain and suffering, to remain silent. We cannot do it ourselves. Some of us didn't experience the pain but remained silent. Others of us suffered. Most of it is buried deep. Tonight we take time to examine our pain, to bring it to light and find healing. For in witnessing and sharing, we begin to heal and move forward as a community. We learned that loved people tend to love people, and hurt people tend to hurt people. The more we can love and bring love into the world, the more others can love and find love.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
With love and healing on our minds, we say Aleinu. It is on us to bring that love and healing into the world. We begin to conclude on page 586. Please rise.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kachol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום Ushemo, 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 Echad.
There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. We turn now to the moment of memory, Kaddish Yatom. As a Temple Israel community, we're thinking of those who have passed within the 30 days Shloshim. Dr. Stephen Fishman, father of Stephanie Fishman and Matt Hamlin, grandfather of Charlie and Jack, and Ben Mitchell. Are there other folks here who are remembering someone within the first 7 or 30 days after a loss? On the occasion of their yard site, the anniversary of their death, we're thinking of Stuart Adelkopf, Theodora Becker, Pete Beliso, Rose Beskind, Lorraine Brody, Irving Diamond, Lee Diamond, Alice Edelstein, Daniel Egan, Evelyn Fletcher, Charles Fuchs, Morris Gandelman, Elaine Gastwort, Ruth Goland, Ronald Haleparn, Ari Kiev, David Marcus, May Marlis, Doba Mazzo, Joseph Merlin, Barbara Mayer, Eleanor Morse, Sidney Novenstein, Raymond Ross, Rabbi Alexander Schindler, Paul Schumann, Henrietta Schwartz, Harvey Centuria, Stanley Silverman, Max Sobel, Edward Stein, Ann Yass, and Ruth Podell Zimmers. There are other names for Kaddish this evening. We say Zichronam Livracha, may their memories always be for a blessing. We are on page 598. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, ve'almad divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ul'almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudusha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata Da'amiran ve'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru
Please be seated. As we turn to our symbols of Shabbat, Kiddush and Motzi, we are ready to bring in the joy and the bread, but we can't do this alone. So Madison, will you come help us with Kiddush and Motzi? Thank you.
And we're so glad that we've restarted our wonderful, not just the wonderful Jewish tradition of oneg. So you're welcome to join us. Or actually, as Rabbi Pleasant said last week, if you want, it's to-go neg.
It could be. It could be.
If you want, we have seats for those who prefer to take their little box of goodies and sit. And if you want to take it home, you're free to do that as well. But please join us for whatever you like.
Kiddush is on page 123.
Here. Take that one. Mm-hmm. Good. Ready? You ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Baruch
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon yichilanu zikaro l'ma'aseh v'reishit kilu yom tehillah Levigrei Kodesh Zecher Tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta Leotanu kidashta Mikol ha'amim V'shabbat kodshecha Ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
L'chaim. L'chaim. Great.
You can take the cover off the challah. Here, I'll hold this so you can take the knife, and we will sing together as you cut a few slices for your family. Ready?
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem
min haaretz.
Amen.
We'll finish the way that we started with the song Celebrating Light, page 640. La Yehudim hayta ora vesimcha vesason v'ikar. La Yehudim hayta ora vesimcha vesason v'ikar. Ken ti'eh lanu, ken
began our service singing about light, and we ended it about light. May all find light and healing in your Shabbat this week and in your journeys ahead. And we say to you, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.